Hello, today's topic is measurement in a bake shop. We're going to talk about how to measure in everyday labs and pastry chef class, and then also we're going to prepare you for how to measure for your Javicino events. As I go through my little tutorial about measurement, please make sure you're following along with the video guide sheet. Now, a couple of things I want to focus on measurements in a bake shop. First off, your recipe ingredients need to be measured perfectly, meaning they need to be as precise and accurate as possible. Baking is a science, and your recipe is more of a formula than just a recipe. And the reason why is if you over or under measure an ingredient, it is going to produce a poor quality and inconsistent result. And you want your baked goods to be as perfect and consistent as possible, especially when we're preparing for our Javicino events, because we want our customers very happy. Okay? So measurements in general are based on weight and or volume. Now weight is a method of measurement that is typically done in pounds, grams, or ounces as a fraction, and weight is defined as the mass or heaviness of an ingredient. Volume is the amount of space an ingredient takes up. It's typically measured in cups, teaspoons, and tablespoons. So in a bake shop, some tools for measurement that you need to be familiar with, because you'll be using them, is a scale. Scale is a very accurate method for measuring. It determines the weight or heaviness of the food, and it is just very consistent from chef to chef, from year to year, etc. Some types of scales that you need to be able to identify is your balance scale, a portion scale, and a digital or electronic scale. So right here in the upper left-hand corner is your digital scale right here. That's what we typically use in class, and that's pretty much what ours looks like. It can weigh up to 2 pounds or 32 ounces, and the units of measurement that we use in our scale is grams, ounces, and then as a fraction, and you kind of just change it between each unit, and then when you're using it, you turn it on, and the first thing you always want to do is zero out your scale, and you just consistently zero it out between each ingredient. We'll go more into that when you're preparing for your labs in this unit. Right here, to the right, is your balance scale. We use the scale more for Javicino because we're measuring our flour ingredients in large amounts, so we use it for that. And then right here, in the left-hand corner is your portion scale, and that's just used for portioning dough. Some other tools, your volume measurements. As I said in a prior slide, your volume measurements are done in teaspoons, tablespoons, and cups. So obviously you would be using your measuring spoons, measuring cups, both liquid and dry. Most professional bake shops don't use these too often, but they still have them around. They focus more on measurement with scale. So you will still be measuring with measuring cups and spoons and things like that. So, just know that your cups measure volume rather than weight. Sometimes students think, well, if a recipe calls for 8 ounces, I know 8 ounces are in a cup, so I'm just going to use a dry measuring cup. But that's not the case. If it calls for 8 ounces of an ingredient, you need to use a scale, not a 1 cup dry measuring cup. The other tool that I'm going to talk about briefly is a ladle. And ladles are typically used for portioning soup, but you can also use them in a bake shop for portioning custard, syrup. So each customer is going to get the consistent portion of the product, and the size of the ladle is stamped right on the handle, and they come in a variety of different sizes, all in the measurement unit of ounce. The other portioning device you're going to have the opportunity to use more so in this unit and throughout some other of our units throughout the semester is a portion scoop or disher. And here's a picture. It kind of looks like an ice cream scoop. And this is just used to portion muffin batters, cookie doughs. So you have consistent portions. They always look the same. They bake evenly. One's not too thin or too bulky, too puffy, etc. So you can kind of see in my picture, these were oatmeal raisin cookies used with portion with a portion scoop. And you will have the opportunity to use them. Use the portion scoop later this week when we make our oatmeal raisin cookies. A couple other tools that we use in a bake shop that measure a couple different units of measurement. One being temperature. You use a thermometer, a gauge, and you would use these to determine if the food is cooked properly. We will use these more when we're dealing with yeast breads, melting chocolate for chocolate decorations, and then when we deal with sugar for candy making. And for those three types of products, temperature is key to making sure that they're perfect. And then obviously timers. You're going to be using, time is of the essence when you're baking, because if you keep something in just a minute too long, it's going to be darker in color. If it's darker in color, it's more crisp in texture. So it's important that you're not under baking or over baking any of your products, and keeping track of your time, and being familiar with your oven, because they vary so often. Alright, so now that you're familiar with your measuring tools, you also need to be familiar with something called a standardized recipe. Now, a standardized recipe falls into the category of the unit of measurement because it's with the consistency. A standardized recipe is one that's going to produce a known quality and quantity of food for a specific operation. A standardized recipe is what sets one established food establishment apart from another establishment. So these recipes are not found in books at all. They are tested repeatedly by that establishment's chef over and over until it's perfect and meets the needs of their restaurant. This recipe will serve as a tool for management and for the chef. And the reason why it serves as a tool is the chef is able to always make the same product, always having the same consistent result when they're producing food. And then management uses the standardized recipe for food ordering, for costing, etc. So they're always hopefully making a profit. Some things that the standardized recipe always is going to specify, which is similar to a regular recipe, is the type and amount of each ingredient, the preparation and cooking procedures, and then the yield and portion size. Often a standardized recipe will also have lots of visual representation and pictures, so the finished product always is plated the same, looks the same, is the same size, same plate, etc. Has the same garnish, so it's always the same. So the customer always gets the expected product that they come back to the restaurant for. Last but not least, you need, here's a quick recap of your common kitchen abbreviations for measurement. I'm not going to read these to you. You're just going to copy these down for your chart. But please be reminded that, that there is a big difference between a teaspoon and a tablespoon. I always have at least one student a semester that messes their measurements up because they're thinking they need a tablespoon of salt opposed to a teaspoon. So make sure you're really looking at your abbreviations and you understand your abbreviations. The teaspoon, tablespoon, cup, pint, quart, those are all your volume measurements. Your gram and your ounce and your pound and your kilogram are all your weight units of measurement. So just to kind of recap that for you. I hope that you learned something about measurement. I hope that you take the things that you got from this little tutorial and apply them to your oatmeal raisin cookie lab that you will be doing in this unit, as well as your fluffy biscuit lab. So I hope that you will be a skilled little baker by the end of this semester. Good luck to you. Thanks.